Hey, how's it going, everyone? It is Friday the 13th today. This is your host, Chris, here at Hertastic Reviews. And if this is your first time here, I just want to say welcome. I'm glad to have you on here. You should really consider subscribing. The reason for that is, well, I mean, you get to check out all my cool videos that I'll be uploading. You get to check out the new podcast show, Inside the Sequel, which I definitely recommend you listen to anyways. And then you can just interact with me all the time. It'd just be a great time. For those who've already subscribed, I want to thank you all for coming back and checking on me. I'm doing great. If you're remembering last video, what we talked about was my October haul stuff, but now we're in November. And November is interesting because it's coined now the month called Noirvember. And Noirvember, what that is basically a bunch of pretentious Criterion Warner archive collectors are like, oh, let's just watch some noir films, which not all of them are probably pretentious, but noir films are basically like these gritty underbelly crime movies that are thrillers. They can have like really good romance. Usually the protagonist is like a news reporter or a journalist or someone out of their element, and they're thrown into like this suspense kind of thriller movie. Usually they were really popular in the 30s and 40s. And then you get neo-noir films, which are my favorites, I would say, between the two, which we'll be talking about because today, here at Hertastic Reviews for Noirvember, I'm going to give you some of my recommendations. Now, this isn't going to be like my top 5 or anything. This is just going to be like for those who are, skinny dipping into noir movies. Maybe you just need a little direction. I'm no expert by any means, but there are some noir films and neo-noir films that I absolutely love. Ooh, that tastes good. And so let's just get into it, right? So to talk first about noir movies, there's so many different types. So I'm just going to kind of go into my recommendations of these movies because these, one, are important movies, and two, they're really entertaining. And for this whole month, if you need a binge on anything, these are the type of movies you should be watching. And the director works as well might be a rabbit hole for you to escape into. So the first one I'm going to talk about is from Billy Wilder, one of my all-time favorite directors. We already know this on the channel, but this is his 1950 film, Sunset Boulevard. Now, Sunset Boulevard also came out with another noir film that I really recommend, which should be right here if my editing skills are right, which is in a Lonely Place with Humphrey Bogart, who was very popular in the noir films too. He did The Maltese Falcon. He's just done so many different type of noir films, but I want to really highlight Sunset Boulevard because, well, man, it's just William Holden he's kind of like a crook in a way, and he gets stuck in this old actress's mansion, and she's like still hanging on to the glory years of the silent films, and she kind of got blacklisted out because they were talkies, and she wasn't good at that. Played by, Gloria Swanson, and she plays a character named Norma. And it's just a really good psychological thriller in a way. And it's real gritty as well. William Holden, he's just a hard ass in this movie. So Sunset Boulevard, I definitely recommend. And then just checking out Billy Wilder works because he does have another noir film I want to talk about later on. But In a Lonely Place as well came out in 1950. Both are very cynical movies. In a Lonely Place, Humphrey Bogart plays a screenwriter. And he's basically like Hank Moody, Californication. Like he's just drinking, self-deprecating all the time. And he's just like down on his luck, and now he gets thrown into a mystery of a murder, whether he had done it or not. And he has some violent outbursts and stuff, which is a really fantastic movie. I think you should check out as well. The next movie is a neo-noir film from Paul Thomas Anderson. It's not one of my favorites. It's a really good watch, at least a one-watch movie if you like Paul Thomas Anderson flicks, and that is Inherent Vice with Joaquin Phoenix. This movie is based on a novel as well. Joaquin Phoenix kind of plays like a stoner journalist who is kind of figuring out this mystery, and it just kind of goes from like, it's just kind of capturing like that Miami feel of like craziness. Basically, he's trying to find this woman's husband, who is Owen Wilson, is essentially what he's doing, but he has to deal with the Josh Brolin police chief and a bunch of like hippies, surfers, some porn actors, sax players, the FBI at one point. It's just such a crazy movie. I can't really like pinpoint it to like, it is a neo-noir film, but I can't just really tell you what it is because it's kind of stonery and like not like Pineapple Express stoner, but it's like, it's very psychedelic, and I like that, psychedelic. And it's a really interesting watch. For some people, this movie does not work at all because it's very unconventional in storytelling. But after the credits rolled with this movie, I was like, yeah, this was a pretty good movie. But I don't think I really want to care to watch it again. I think it's good for one watch, though. So, and Inherent Vice is one movie. Another movie I want to talk about, which I don't own, but I think you should absolutely watch, is James Caan's Thief from Michael Mann. It should be a cover right here. And Thief is just fantastic. It takes place in Chicago. James Caan, who we all know and love in this channel and on Twitter, he plays like this this jewel thief robber in Chicago, and he's being recruited to do one more heist basically before he gets out of it. And basically it spirals out of control. And Jim Belushi is there to help him as well, which is great. It's a good mix. There's one incredible shot from a diner scene in Thief where James Caan is just a long paneling shot to where their booth. It's just a beautiful, beautiful scene. And yeah, Michael Mann does a really great job with this movie. I believe it was his first film as well, too. So definitely check out Thief as well, which you can check out on the Criterion channel because it has a Criterion release. It's also on Arrow Academy, I believe, too. So there you go. The next movie is a David Cronenberg. Yeah, David Cronenberg. It's kind of I would say it's a neo-noir film because it's kind of like a mystery and it's gritty and dark at times and it goes insane per David Cronenberg. But that is A History of Violence starring Viggo Mortensen. Now, this is on a double pack with American History X. Don't watch that one unless you want to. It's really good, but anyway, A History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen. It's really good. You get a really nice ass shot with him in the movie. It also has Ed Harris as well. Basically, they're trying to uncover who's this like hitman, and Viggo Mortensen kind of doesn't believe he's this hitman that Ed Harris is like after and stuff, but maybe he might actually be. He might have amnesia. Who knows? We're just trying to get this mystery. And once it gets figured out, it just takes a left turn. It's an insane movie, but it's actually really entertaining and it's pretty dark too. So it definitely fits that mold of a newer noir film. So definitely check out A History of Violence. Then we're going to get in some classics. We're going to talk about Roman Polanski's Chinatown. Chinatown I really like. Jack Nicholson, forget it, Jack. It's Chinatown. This movie is a classic movie. 1973, I believe. No, 74. And Jack has to figure out this mystery. And Faye Dunaway basically brings this case to him, but we can't really know for sure if we can trust her or not. Per most noir films, the damsel in distress, basically, we don't know if we can trust her or not. And this movie does a really good job as Jack Nicholson's character has to figure out who to trust, basically, in this revolving plot of who is guilty and who isn't. Definitely check this movie out. It's a classic. It's really dirt cheap Blu-ray to check out too. So there's another one. Speaking of Billy Wilder earlier, this is a fantastic noir film, one of his very best movies, probably one of the best noirs you can watch, and that is Double Indemnity with Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray and Edward G. Robinson, see? This movie was 1944, a year before his Lost Weekend Best Picture winner, and man, this movie flies by. It is so good. Barbara Stanwyck is gorgeous, but Fred McMurray's an insurance salesman, our protagonist there, who gets thrown into this plot of lies and deceit, kind of like engineered by Barbara Stanwyck and fueled by passion and love, and deaths occur, and basically trying to get insurance fraud. And the ride on this movie is amazing. I didn't want to get off after it ended, but Edward G. Robinson also plays a really great role in this, and he's going to be popping up in another noir movie we'll talk about. So Double Indemnity, definitely check that movie out. One last movie I definitely don't own, but I wish I changed that. I need to. That is Al Pacino in Sea of Love. Should see the cover here. Sea of Love I saw recently. It's a late 80s, I believe, early 90s, possibly, Al Pacino movie, and it is steamy. It is pretty sensual, but basically, Al Pacino plays this, he's in New York, I believe. Yeah, he's a New York police officer, and he has to solve this mystery, this murder mystery, where the killer is basically killing these men in their acts of sex, basically, in passion. So he's thinking it might be this woman who he might be attracted to as well, thinking that she might be quoting men into having relations with her and then killing them for whatever reason. And the plot thickens more and more, and it's very sensual, and it feels very reminiscent of those 1940s gritty noir films, because Al Pacino definitely fits the mold of one of those noir actors. He definitely has a bottle of bourbon and whiskey in his bottom drawer in his office, and it's just such a good movie. So I definitely would check out Sea of Love as well. That's it for all the movies I don't own yet, but for the rest of these movies, you have to watch them. They're great movies. And the first one we have to talk about, the next movie we have to talk about, is Jean-Pierre Melville's box set here that I have through Studio Canal. Now, this is Region B. A lot of his movies are on Criterion, but they're out of print, So this is the best way to get these movies. I've been diving into a few of them, and I really like what I see. Now, I was really harsh on his movie Army of Shadows, which is a World War II French resistance film. So it doesn't fit the mold of a noir film, but it's still a fantastic, gritty movie you should definitely check out. It's very apathetic as well. You should also check out Le Cercle Rouge, because that movie, which is The Red Circle, is fantastic. These are like those hard-nosed gangster 50s films. I believe they came out in the 60s and the 70s, though. But man, you need to check these movies out. They're just the essential essence of cool. I mean, Tarantino eats this guy's movies up, and they're really good. I've been watching Un Flic, which means a final film, I believe, or no, it means a cop. Excuse me. And it's his final film, and it's really good too. It's about these robbers on one last heist, and they don't know if they can get out of it alive or not. Really fantastic stuff. Jean-Pierre Melville has become one of my favorite French directors. Obviously, in this channel, we know I love French films, and I think that says a lot. I definitely was a little sus with him to begin, but now I'm coming around to him a lot, so definitely check this stuff out. The last two movies are some of my absolute favorite movies, and they fit the mold of these noir movies. One of them, obviously, I have a poster. The last one is Elliot Gould in a Robert Altman film, The Long Goodbye. This is a 1973 noir film. It's fantastic. Philip Marlowe. This movie I think I even did a really early cringy video before. I'm not sure if I can find the clip. The cool private eye neo-noir film about a guy who investigates the missing disappearance of his friend, and his friend was accused of murdering his wife. Stylized and cool in the 70s in LA. That was for me. He just saw that and he said, yep, Chris is going to love that. And damn, I did love it. It's this film is amazing. But I did a review on this movie, and I absolutely love it. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Philip Marlowe is a private eye detective, so he's privately contacted to investigate his neighbor's murder or disappearance, basically. And he's trying to just feed his damn cat, and he's getting thrown into this really insane spider web of lies and deceit as well, which is a common theme in all these noir movies. But this ride is just fantastic, and it's so awesome. Philip Marlowe, played by Elliot Gould, is one of the best protagonist of any movie I've ever seen ever. And the ending is so awesome and rewarding too. It also stars, but it has a small little scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger as well in Tidy Whities. And there's an absolute brutal scene involving a Coke bottle that you have to witness to believe, because it is so disgusting and gritty and dark. So The Long Goodbye, have to check this movie out. It's fantastic. The final movie, one of the first noir movies I ever saw, and I never thought I would get to own it on Blu-ray, because I never thought it had a Blu-ray, and it does. But that is Humphrey Bogart, Edward G. Robinson, and Lauren Bacall in Key Largo. So Key Largo, this movie is directed by John Huston. Excuse me. So John Huston directs this movie. Key Largo, it's just the Florida Keys. And Humphrey Bogart's there, and Edward G. Robinson's a gangster, and he basically takes over this hotel, and Laura Bacall is one of the residents there, and basically they have to try and survive and take out this gangster, and it's just such a good movie because they're all isolated and stranded, and tensions get really high, the weather is bad, but there's romance brewing between Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, obviously. But the reason this movie stuck by me so much is the ending. When I saw this movie as like a freshman, I didn't know movies at this age could end the way they did. It was just so dark to me. I was like, in cold. I was like, yikes. Like, could this thing be a thing? So, Key Largo, I would definitely recommend watching this movie. It's just a great noir movie, period. So, I'm sure with Humphrey Bogart, and Lauren Bacall, you could say like The Big Sleep or Dark Passage as well. Those are movies I haven't seen yet. So I'm not going to recommend them to you, but Out of the Past is another fantastic movie I think you should definitely check out. But yeah, this is Noirvember, but it's also Friday the 13th. So make sure you watch a Friday the 13th movie if you did, especially if you bought the Friday the 13th box set, which I definitely did. So yeah, hopefully you're watching some noir movies, and if you have, let me know down in the descriptions below what you've been watching. If you're watching Blade Runner, which is a noir movie, I think, I definitely applaud you. But yeah, if you're watching this video and you haven't clicked subscribe, you should definitely think about that. I've been doing the research, the analytics, and I definitely see people watching these but not hitting subscribe. It would really mean the world to me if you did. But anyway, I appreciate you all. Thank you for giving me the time. And remember, if you're not watching noir movies during during Noirvember, not the other November theme, but yeah, if you're not watching noir movies, then do you really even care about movies? Anyway, we'll see you next time.